So yeah, we were here yesterday. That is, we are talking about modifying flow control, and what we have been looking at, or what we have looked at in the last class, is a single selection statement, which is if, and we have used that to compute the min of three integers. This is a simple task that we did, and many of you also gave solutions to that using if else. We showed that if else is not actually required. You can actually do it with only if, and we saw a simple program which was computing the min of the three integers. Of course, before we saw that, we also had to talk about relational operators and logical operators, which are the ones which we used for computing the min. So any questions or comments on the last class, or possibly the lab if you have any questions?
Ma'am, yesterday's lecture has not been said, right?
Yes, I have not. I have not got to uploading the lecture. I'll do that. I'll update the homepage. Yeah, thanks for reminding. I'll do that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So I also want to bring out two questions that were asked yesterday. So yesterday in the first part of the class, we saw this swap program, which given two integers will swap the values inside that. We wrote the program, at least I wrote it on the slide with annotated it with the with using a temporary variable. There is a version of it, or there is a way to do it without using a temporary variable. And the question that was asked is, will that work for characters also? So it is almost the same program, except I have added additional things here. So the differences between the last program and today's program is that there were integers yesterday. There were scanf statements which I have removed. All of you are familiar with them. So I have taken two characters called x and initialized two characters x and y. These are variable names, and this is bad programming. Call them x and y and initialize them with x and y. This is something that is abuse of the character name and the initialization. I should have called them ch1, ch2, but I wanted to make this point as well. Nevertheless, it's a correct program. I am also printing the ASCII code for x and y. In case you did not try it out yesterday in the lab, the way to print out the ASCII code is using printf %d and the character. You will get the ASCII code. And this part of the code, the three lines, x is equal to x plus y is equal to x minus y, and x is equal to x minus y, is something that will clearly work for integers. Assuming that the integers don't go out of range. The question was, will assuming the x plus y value doesn't go out of range. The question that was asked is that will this same kind of code work for characters? And yes, the code does work for characters. You should try it out. One thing that you should try out is also printf. After this x is equal to x plus y is done, printf the ASCII code, printf whatever is present in x. Also printf %c of that, %c for that character, because anyway it's a character. So what if you print out x and what do you see on the screen? So I had thought that maybe it will have corner cases. It does not have corner cases for all of the printable characters. So it will work. And at some point of time in the lectures later, we will also talk about why this works. But at the moment, I just want to tell you that it does work. And this is the same piece of code that you would have written for integers. Okay, any questions or comments here?
Ma'am, so when you do arithmetic operations with characters, the compiler takes its ASCII value and does the operation.
It just looks at the binary pattern of that, and it is stored as you have seen, right? So the ASCII value of every, I mean, capital A is 65, if I am correct. So If you just do +1, then you will go to 66 and print out capital B and so on. So it will just do arithmetic on those binary values and work with those as integer. I mean, work with those as just integer. I mean, work with those with the binary representations and add 1 to it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so we move on to the second question that was asked in the class. Again, something small and minor, but since it was asked, I am just pointing it out. So there is this was about the typecasting. While I may not have used the word typecasting yesterday, the question was about multiple assignment operators in this same statement. So if you have an integer variable, which I have called here as int var, then that is assigned a float variable, and this itself is assigned some floating point value. So a concrete example of this is there is an integer variable x, there is a floating float data type variable y, and this y okay, so I think the above statement is incorrect, but this is correct. This was what was asked. So float is assigned int, which is assigned itself a floating point value. So this was the question that somebody had asked. So sorry, I'll correct this in this first line in the slide. And the question was, what will be the value of y? The value of y will be what, as I had said yesterday. So for example, this x will get a value which is 10, which will be which this floating point value will be converted to an integer, which is 10, and then y will get the value 10, but when you print it out as a float, it will print out as 10.0000. Those many zeros, as many as are stored, and that will be printed out. So this is what I had said yesterday. I just want to reiterate this. There is a small typo here, and this z variable is not required. Okay. Any questions or comments here?
Ma'am, what if it is x equals y equals 10.234? In that case, will y print the 10.234 itself?
Okay, so your question is, what is the output of the program?
No, ma'am. Instead of using y is equal to x equal to 10.34, if we use x equal to y equal to 10.234, will it?
Correct. Yes, yes. If you say, yeah, whatever I have written in the first line here, right? Int var is equal to float var is equal to some float value. In fact, that was not the question, but you are asking that. So x is equal to y is equal to 10.234, right? That is your question. In that case, y will be assigned 10.234, and then x will get a value of 10. So x will get 10, y will get 10.234. Does it answer?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So again, these are small things. You should try it out. But whenever there is a question which from which I can point out something which is relevant to the whole class, I'll try to bring it up and also answer it in the class. Otherwise, I'm typically answering questions on emails or something. Okay. So now let's get for the task for today. The task for today is fairly simple. It may seem also a little boring, but there are several points that we will bring out from this small task, which is excuse me, printing the marks, not exactly the marks, but the range of marks in a course based on certain input. So in fact, you do you see this kind very sophisticated version of this program where you when your JE results are announced, you type in your ID or code, and then it gives you the final result or your JE rank and so on. So this is a very watered down version. It will take an input and just print out statements based on the input, and nowhere close to what you are inputting and getting, but just to tell you some of the aspects of programming using the small example. Okay, So first we should ask, if we are given a task, what is the desired behavior of this program that does the task? So the input, what are the inputs, what are the outputs? This is something that you should always ask in your programming tasks in the lab. In general, it is good to ask when you are doing any task, what is the input, what is the expected output. So the input is going to be one single character, which will be one of W, A or B. And this is the character which will be input by the user. And the output is a message based on the rules below. If it is W, I don't know if you are aware, W grade means here low attendance, which says that you have not attended enough number of classes. In this case, the rules of this program are this, the task are this, that is, if the grade or the input is A, then we'll assume we want to print out that the marks are between 90 and 100. And if the grade is, if the input is B, then the marks are between 80 and 90. And any other valid, any other input that is given, we want to say invalid input, print out WA, one of WA or B. So it's a very, very simple task. You have to write down a program for this. So I know all of you can write down this program. I want to make some remarks about the way we design even this simple the program for a simple task. So the most natural statement or construct that we can use here is a double selection statement. That is, if the input happens to be of some form, do something, else do something. This is the natural construct, and that is why we will introduce this double selection statement, which is the if else statement or construct. So just like what we did in the last class, we will talk about the semantics of this and also talk about the way the control flows when you have an if else. So the syntax is as follows. If there is some test condition, this test condition can be something which is quite complicated. If it evaluates to true, then the body of the if, whatever you write it, is going to get executed. These could be multiple statements and they themselves can have if, while, and so on when we come to loops. Then there is a else part which is executed if the test condition evaluates to false. So this is the syntax. All of you are aware of this. I'll just show the control flow. Again, the test expression, if it evaluates to true, it is the body of if. If it evaluates to false, then it is the body of else. And irrespective of that, whatever is written in this part, which is below, will get executed after this if else one of them gets executed. So this is the double selection statement. Now let's go back to our task. That is, there is a single character that is input and we want some messages based on the input. So then a very natural thing that comes to mind is the following, which I would like you to think about when you code small tasks also, and write this, what is called as a design or a pseudo code that we discussed in our last class also, when we had designing the writing a program for the minimum of 3 integers. So if the input is a W, this or is an English or. Right now this is not a program, but this is the thought that I have. Or the input is A or the input is B, you have to do something, because in this case you have to print out different messages. Else you have to output an error message. So this is the way I think about this task. So is this clear? Is there any question or anything here? Okay, fairly simple. All of us understand this. Okay, anybody has any question?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay, sure. So let me just convert this thought into a valid program. And what I'm going to do is flash a program. All of you please study that program, and I request all of you to write down what, if you think the program is correct, if you think the program has issues, and what are the issues. While you are reading the program, I'm going to try to set up this poll like what I did yesterday, and I hope the poll will go through it. You will have to just type out your comments. The good thing about this poll is I understand what fraction of the class has responded. If you just give chat messages, I don't, I see many of your messages, but I don't see what fraction of the class has responded. Okay, so I hope the rules of the task are very clear to all of us. Okay, so this is the program that I have written, and I would like you to study. Please do not comment immediately. I am setting up the poll and hopefully it will go through.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what is slash t?
Okay, so slash t is so where have I used slash t? Okay, slash t is just the tab character. So it says input character and then it gives you some space there, right? So you could have just given certain spaces and instead of, so slash n is the new line, right? Similarly, slash t is simply saying put in a few tabs so that the character that you input is placed a little far away from this string input character, right?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so I am going to open this poll and I hope it is for 1 minute. It just says, is the program correct? If not, what are the issues? You should be able to write a short answer. Yeah. Okay, so it somehow gives 5 minutes for this, which I have not changed, but I'll stop the poll in a minute. So you can type out your answers. So Kaushal, can you check whether you can type out answers?
I'm not able to type the answer.
Oh no.
Yes, ma'am. They're
Yes,
not
ma'am,
able.
not able to type. Not able
Okay,
to.
okay, sorry. So let me just try again because yesterday we did it. Okay, still is it not possible? Kaushal, yeah, is it possible to write answers?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, I give up right now. Okay, somehow I am not understood this. Okay, leave it. So please type out chat messages or answer this. I'll set this up eventually. Sorry for wasting some time, but okay. So maybe type out some of the messages and yeah, and then I'll look at the answers and then take answers if there are. Yeah. Okay, so some of you have typed out the answers, which is good. So you have pointed out the issue with this. So let's just, for the sake of everybody's understanding, let's go through what happens. So the input character is given. Let's say it is W. It goes into this if, then it does the test condition is true. Therefore, it does say attendance is below 85%. And why is this percent? Because otherwise it thinks that there is a you are going to give a percent C or percent D. That is why this, just to print out a percent, you have to say that it is percent. That is some minor thing which is not currently of interest. if the input is A, because the input is W, this doesn't satisfy it. If the input is B, it is not satisfied, and the else is bound to this if, therefore it will also print out the message else invalid character enter one of WAB. So it will, if the input is W, it is going to print out attendances below 85 as well as invalid character. Similarly, if the input is A, then it is going to print out marks between 90 and 100 and invalid character. Only for B, it is going to correctly execute the way we want. And of course, if you give an invalid character, that is, let's say C, then it will not go into any of this and it will print out else. So for B as well as anything else, it is going to give the correct desired behavior. For W and A, it is giving the wrong behavior. So many of you have pointed this out, which is good. So the important thing is that this else is bound or is attached, or whatever you want to call, to this last if that is present, and that is why the program behaves in the incorrect way. Any questions here? Okay, so as I have written, this program has incorrect behavior. You have pointed it out earlier. So a correct way to write this program is the following. That is, if the input is equal to W, or this or is the logical or the input is equal to A, or the input is equal to B, then you go inside and do whatever is the body of if. Now, when you go inside the body of if, you do not know whether the input was A, B, or C, W, A, or B. So therefore, you do the test again, and based on whatever is the value, you then print out the appropriate message, and then you say that else you write down the message that is an invalid character. So this is one of the correct ways to write the program. There are multiple correct ways to write this program itself. This is one of the correct ways. This is just translating our original thought process that we had, which was on the previous slide, which said that if the input is W or A or B, then do something, else output the error message. So any questions, comments here?
Ma'am, why was the previous program wrong, ma'am?
Oh, okay. So, okay, so I just hand executed it. So let me just say, so what is your input in your mind?
Let's say beam.
Okay, as I said, for B, the program doesn't give an erroneous behavior, or it does not expose the logical issue with this thing, because if it is B, then input is equal to W fails. Great, we did not want it. If input is equal to A fails, we did not want it. Input is equal to B will work, and therefore marks between 80 and 90 will be printed, and else will not execute because this test has gone through. Is this clear? For B.
Yes, ma'am.
But for A, let's consider A. So if the input is indeed A, then input is equal to W fails. So it is not equal to W. So this is not printed, which is good. Input is equal to A is true. Therefore, marks between 90 and 100 is correctly printed out. Now there is no else here, right? So it will execute the next statement here. So if input is equal to B is again tested for that input, which is exactly equal to A. And then, of course, it is not equal to A. Therefore, marks between 80 and 90 is not printed. But there is an else associated with this. So if input is not equal to B, it is going to print out this. So whenever you give an input which is not B, then it will always print out this statement, invalid character enter one of WAB. This is the behavior of the program.
Yes, ma'am. I got it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. This is not the only correct way of writing the program. There are other ways to correctly write the program. But this is one correct way to write the program. So Yeah, I'm going to make a few comments about, I'm going to dissect every part of this program and make comments about this. So,
What is the double slash, ma'am? In
where
correct
is the
program.
double slash?
After
Where?
input is yeah, ma'am, that's that.
This one, right? Okay, this is exactly the OR operator. So in the last class, we have introduced, okay, so this equal to is clear, right? It is the
Yes.
testing equality operator. This is the OR operator, which says that this test expression is going to be true if one of these tests, that is input is equal to W, or, so this is the English, whatever we talk about it as OR, right? Yeah, this or this is going to be true. And I should also mention that the logical OR operator, so let's say there are two expressions, exp1 or exp2. If exp1 evaluates to true, then the logical expression exp1 or exp2 is true. If exp2 evaluates to true, again it is true. If both of them evaluate to true, again the whole expression is true. Only when both of them evaluate to false, then the expression is going to be false, right? So this is the logical OR operator, which works as follows. Sorry, as described earlier. Is that clear? I think
Yes,
Ramesh, did you ask the question?
yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So please, thank you for the question. Please stop me if I have assumed that some operator is understood, or please stop me and I'll be happy to explain. Okay. Anything else that is not clear? Yeah. Okay. So the first remark that I want to make is about the multiple if else that we have to use or we will be using in our programs. So how is this binding, right? So this binding is not dependent on the indentation. I hope you understand what is indentation in the program here. When I say that this if the body of the if contains all of this, then this code is written indented, that is, it is written inside to tell human beings that yeah, this is inside, so that it becomes readable. Compiler does not understand indentation. Compiler understands the braces. So if you want the compiler to execute a certain set of statements inside the body, you must put them inside the braces. So this indentation is not for the compiler, the indentation is for human beings. So don't rely on indenting your code and assume that the compiler is going to understand your indentation. So let's read this program again. So I have just simplified that A, B and W to just having W and A. So if input is equal to W or input is equal to A, I have written the indentation in such a way that it feels like it will do whatever is required. That is, if input is equal to W, do whatever is asked for W. If input is equal to A, do whatever is asked for A. And then the indentation tells the human being that if the input was not W or A, then print an error message. But this is not what the compiler understands. The compiler is going to, if there is no braces here, that I have omitted the braces, then this else is bound or attached to this last if that does not have an else, right? So therefore, this is the if that it is attached to. So the behavior of the program is again incorrect. Again, there is no B here, but I have just stripped out that to make things simple. So if the input is W, then what will be the behavior of the program? Can somebody tell? So whatever happens in, yes, please go ahead.
It will do what is given for the input of W first, and then because it is not A, it will print the else part also.
Error message, right? So this is the same error that I am trying to give out. I mean, whatever was there in the first erroneous program, but I'm just trying to make the point that this, if you do not write the correct parenthesis, then the else will be bound or attached to the last if that does not have an else. And this is not a compile time error, this is not a runtime error, but the behavior of the program is incorrect. So this is something that we have to remember, keep be alert and write our programs. So there is no harm in actually putting these braces. These braces are very helpful. Even if you are writing a single statement, it is very helpful to put in the braces for us to understand the same thing that we are telling the compiler, and make it clear to both ourselves, the reader of our program, and to the compiler. Yeah. So this is the first point that I wanted to make. Any questions or comments here? Okay. Okay, so study this. This is the correct program that, I mean, this is a version of the correct program. So that I mean, if input is equal to W, or input is equal to A, or input is equal to B, there are these braces, and else there is an invalid character. Study this program carefully and tell me if there is any error in the program. So it is not about the binding of the if else. There is a very small, subtle, and nasty
Ma'am,
error.
if statement, ma'am.
Yeah, please, just don't point it out. Let everybody study it. If you want, write a chat message. I'm again tempted to try out the poll. Uh, yeah, you can type out messages in the chat till that time. Yeah, Kaushal, can you tell me what is happening with the poll?
Actually, it isn't showing any text box to enter the answer, unlike the other day. Though that day there was a box specifying where to type the answer.
Yeah, I am adding the answer box, but I somehow don't see why. So people are finishing the poll. What does it mean? They are simply submitting. Is
I
anybody able to
guess.
write any answer?
No,
Ma'am,
No, ma'am.
if we just
Just
submit
Showing the
without
submit
even
button.
writing anything, it will
yeah.
show finished.
Okay. So don't do that because it's not useful anyway. Yeah. Okay. I'll not do it today again. It's quite annoying. But okay. So yeah, I'll just see whether people have pointed out the errors. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good. So the error is not about void main or int main. Yeah, that is perennially there in the programs. I'm not. I mean, that is a warning thing that I have, but that is not the point of this program. But many of you have correctly pointed out, and this. This is the incorrect part of the program, which is this semicolon, which is after the if statement. So at least for initial programmers who get error messages saying that there is no semicolon after the valid statements. For example, after the scanf, if you forget the semicolon, the compiler will crib. So we get so much used to writing a semicolon that we may give a semicolon where it is unintended, which is this. And this, what it means is that if input is equal to W, do not do anything. That is, there is nothing to be done. So just do nothing. and then it will printf attendance. Similarly, if input is equal to a, not printf attendance, printf attendance is below 85. Then if input is equal to a, then again do nothing and printf this. So all these statements are going to get printed out, right? So if you have W, A or B, this is something that is checked. I think there is, yeah, so this is some statement which is not terminated by a semicolon here. So this if is correct, but all these if statements by mistake, if you give this semicolon, it is going to cause this very bad and buggy behavior which you don't want. So this, as you have pointed out, this is a very subtle and nasty error, but you may get into this. So I just wanted to point this out. So as I said, the mistaken statement terminator is something that can cause bad behavior. It will always do this W irrespective of what input you give, because if the input is equal to W, you are telling the program do nothing. Yeah. So any comments or questions here?
Ma'am, I have a doubt in another thing, in the example. Another doubt in the example which you told now, ma'am. Like if the input is W, what will happen? Will all the three ifs be checked, or only the if condition for W will be checked, ma'am?
Okay, so see, this is the, okay, so in this program, right, which is currently on the slide. Hello?
Yes, ma'am, this program only.
Yes. Okay. So clearly, if input is equal to W or input is equal to A, this condition is going to go through because the first test condition is true. So it does go into the body of the if. So else is not going to be printed out. That is clear. Now, if input is equal to W, then it will, you tell it to do nothing, right? So it just doesn't do anything, but there is a printf statement. Again, this indentation doesn't mean anything to the compiler. It means for humans, which can be misread, but it is not something for the compiler. So you give this, it doesn't do anything here, but then it prints if attendance is below 85. Then it checks if input is equal to A. It is not equal to A, but anyway, even if it were equal to A, it does not do anything. Then it prints if marks are between 90 and 100, and the same thing for B. So this is the execution of the program. So,
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking if the semicolon is not there, like the code is proper without any mistakes, and if the input is W, will it check if condition for W and then come out of the if statement, the whole statement, or will it check for A and B also?
No, it won't come out. In fact, okay, so you are not asking about this program, you are asking about the first correct program, which is this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Yes, ma'am.
yes, so if input is equal to W, it will print if attendance is below this thing, and the control flow for if says that, I mean, this is an if statement, not an if else statement. Once you go into this statement, right? So this says if the test condition is true, do whatever is for the test condition inside the braces, or it's a single statement, so it is that statement. After that, the control automatically flows to this, and therefore it will be checked. So this won't be skipped. This part will also be tested, but it won't go through.
Instead, if there was else if, then it will be skipped.
Yes. If you had written else if, then this wouldn't be tested. You're right.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Yeah. So I think I have correct time for. Okay. Sorry. So yeah. So now we are going to go to. We are going to make another observation about this program. So we had written input is equal to W, or input is equal to A, do something, else print error message. Now note that the semicolon has been taken out, and that is not the problematic thing. And there is no problem with this. I just want to point out. So how is this parsed? Input is equal to W, or input is equal to A. The way it is passes the precedence of equal to operator is higher than the precedence of this or logical or. Therefore, the meaning of this expression is what we desire, that is, if input is equal to W, this is tested first, or input is equal to A, that is tested next, and the parentheses are as shown here, right? So the parenthesis can be avoided because the equal to has higher preference than or, higher precedence than or. But if you think that it improves your readability and your understanding, it is okay to add that parenthesis for yourself and the reader. So what I want to say is this will not be evaluated as W or input and do something else, right? That is not something that the way it gets evaluated. It gets evaluated the way we want. Just that I want to bring this out. Why can these parentheses be avoided? Because the precedence of equal to is higher than or. But this is the intended statement, and we can also write it this way if you think it helps. Okay, this is one point. So now I want to talk about this evaluation of a test expression. So let's say there is an if statement where we have if expression 1 or expression 2, right? So as I have explained in the previous few minutes ago, the test is true even if one of expression 1 or expression 2 or both of them is true. So so there are 4 possibilities for this, that is expression 1 is true, expression 2 is false, expression 1 is true, expression 2 is true, expression 1 is false, expression 2 is true. In all these 3 cases, that is either one or both of them are true, it is going to evaluate to true. And the only case where it evaluates to false is when both of them evaluate to false. So this is how this OR operator behaves. Now the one thing that I want to point out is that the way this test expression is evaluated is expression 1, that is exp1 is evaluated. If it happens to be true, then expression 2 is not even evaluated, right? So for example, going back to this, if input is equal to W, then the compiler is not going to make this test is input equal to A, because as soon as the input is equal to W, then it has passed that test and it will not even make this test input is equal to A. How do you know that this is actually what is happening? You can write down some small function calls once you know how to use functions, or if you already know them. If F1 or F2 of something, and then in F1 print out something, but let F1 return 1 or return some non-zero value, in which case F2 will not even be called. Forget about, what it returns, but F2 is not even called. So this is something that is called as short circuiting. So when does this happen? So if there is an OR that is being evaluated, as soon as you realize that the expression is true, you stop evaluating the remaining part of the expression. Similarly, if you have expression 1 and expression 2, then that is going to be true only when both of them are true. So if the first expression evaluates to false, then you are just going to stop evaluating it and not evaluate the rest of the expression. So I hope this short circuiting part is clear. Why does it, why should we be aware of it? So in general, if expression 1 and expression 2 are simply test expressions, we can ignore this and we need not even care about this. But if expression 2 has a side effect, that it is a function call, or it is having something which is n++ or ++n and so on, which you believe, which you are relying on, saying that, okay, because expression 2 is going to get evaluated, therefore you will have this side effect of evaluating expression 2. It may not get evaluated in certain conditions. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. So let the expression 1 and expression 2 not have side effects, then we are happy. We don't have to worry about this short circuiting behavior. But this short circuiting is also useful And we will come to it when we deal with pointers, and if you have seen pointers, or I'll just make this remark, you can ignore it if you have not seen it. So if some pointer is not equal to null and something, so if it equals to null, then you just don't go and do anything. So there is where these things can become helpful. We don't worry about if you don't understand this last statement. So this is something that is done when this expression is evaluated, and we need to be aware of it if these expressions are having side effects. If they don't have side effects, you can be oblivious to the short circuiting and it doesn't matter to us. Okay, any questions or comments here? So I am not monitoring the chat, so in case you have a question, please ask the question by unmuting yourself. Okay, so I assume that there is no question. The final remark that I want to make about is this assignment operator and the equal to. So the assignment operator is just this equal to, and the equal to is a equality check relational operator. And it is very, it is possible that by mistake while typing it out, we make this mistake saying that input is equal to W. And in fact, anyway, from our mathematics, we are just saying that, okay, is it equal to W, and then do something. So this is not something which is caught by the compiler, or it is not even a runtime error. So this is something that just passes quietly. And if you write this program, if input is equal to W, do W, else print error. This will have a very bad, again, bad behavior in the program. So the reason that this happens is this assignment operator returns as a value whatever is assigned. So in this case, W will be returned, and the ASCII code of W will be taken and checked out. So the ASCII code of W is certainly not 0. So that value is going to be checked for whether that expression has evaluated to 0 or non-zero. As long as it is non-zero, it will say that the test expression is true, and therefore do W. So irrespective of what your input is, this is an assignment statement. So you may be having a scanf before this, scanf %c and input. One, the bad effect is that input will be assigned always a value of W. You will always be doing whatever is asked to do in W. And if you say that, okay, I will try to debug and print out what is here in print W at this stage, it will always be W. So whatever you enter into the program, it will be modified to W, and you will also be doing whatever is asked to do in W. So this is the erroneous behavior. It happens because you have wrongly used the assignment operator instead of the equal to. So this is something that can happen while typing, and this is something we have to be aware. Yeah, so how do you avoid this? This can be avoided if you are checking something which is a constant. Then it's a nice practice, a programming practice, to write down the expression in this way. If W is equal to input, then do W, else print error. Here also you can make this error of W equal to input being written as W equal to input, but then this is caught as a compile time error because it says that you cannot assign to something which is a constant, you cannot assign some variable. That is not allowed. You can check a constant with a variable with the equal to. So if you want to check whether an integer is equal to 10, then instead of writing if input is equal to 10, it is better to train yourself to write if 10 is equal to input, then do something, because these two are exactly equal when you are doing equal to. But when it is equal to, and if you make a mistake, the compiler is going to catch it. Whereas in the first case, neither the compiler nor the execution will catch it, but the program will have an erroneous behavior. So
why will the compiler not catch the error?
Okay, so the compiler doesn't, okay, compiler is just going to treat this as some expression. This expression is evaluated. The expression says assign to input the value W, and whatever is returned, evaluate that and check it out whether that is non-zero. If that is non-zero, then it is going to do whatever is there in 2W. So this is how the compiler works for C. So whether this compiler could have been changed, yeah, possibly, but maybe there are cases where you want to do this assignment here in if. I don't know of cases, but maybe there are cases, but the compiler is currently designed in this way.
Okay.
It won't be a compile time error.
Okay.
So anything else? So yeah, this is all I wanted to say about this very, very simple task that we started with. That is mapping the marks, mapping the input to some kind of mark range. And most of these are programming specific details which you should be aware of. And what we have introduced is also this double selection statement if double selection statement if else, and the single selection statement if, which both of which you will find it useful to code during the lab questions today. So today we will have the lab. You will be given 3 nice and interesting questions. They will be based on what you already know, or if you don't know some of the things that you require to solve it, you will be given them. But you will be using the programming concepts that you have learned in the first 7 classes, and this will be your first evaluated lab. So with this, I am done with whatever I have to say. I will stop the recording.